Good morning. It's Thursday, 17th April 2025, and of course, it's my delight to welcome you all to the continuation of your current affairs program, TMI, coming to you live from our Lagos Network studios on the ITV network. I am Joshua Carter, and of course, I'm being joined by my co-anchor, Charity. Of course, today on the show, we will be looking at Lagos outrageous rent. It is very, very worrisome, especially with the fact that most landlords of Lagos are arbitrary in the practice of increasing rent without due consideration to their tenants or even giving them prior notice. To this end, it has called for the attention of the Lagos State House of Assembly, which of course is being looked into. And as we have it today, the implementation of the Lagos State Tenancy law is being considered. And of course, in a few weeks from now, the governor of Lagos State, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, will be implementing it into law. But of course, we'll be joined by Comrade Lucky Ikponwosa, a social affairs analyst, who will be giving us his perspective on this matter. Good morning, Mr. Lucky. And thank you so much for joining us.
Mr. Joshua. Nice to be here.
All right, now let's look at the issue. But before we delve into this matter, what is your take, especially when it comes to arbitrary rent that most landlords increase, especially without due consideration or prior notice?
Okay, my take on that is that it's not a good practice from the landlords. But at the same time, we have more to do. You see, it takes the federal government has a lot to do on that, because as a matter of fact, the federal government has failed to do what they're supposed to do. There are other countries, people don't even bother to build their houses. Federal housing authority provide that for them, and it cushion the effect on the masses. But this side of the country, which is Africa or Nigeria precisely, we don't have that here. So if government has failed on their own part, the individuals are taking upon themselves to build their houses where they can live, also build some tenant part of it where they can equally manage. They can use the rent to manage the house as time goes on. But look at the cost of materials in the market today. So this is all boiled down to the cost of the inflation has already comes in. So I think I wouldn't say the landlord are taking advantage of because of the inflation, but if we should look at it inwardly, you understand, it's good to tell on them too. So the cost is still boiled down to the cost. The current cost of inflation today of materials in the market, the current cost of things in the market today tells the current cost of materials in the market today also are telling big on the landlords. So who will bear it last is the tenant also. I'm building a house in Lagos. I would also like the Lagos State as a whole to look into it. Building houses in Lagos today is not even an easy affair too, because you start with your moneyless. From the moneyless, there are a lot of agencies in Lagos today while building the council, and all these agencies are not for free. After putting all this together, I rented the building, and there's a tenant on it. You understand point? And the law comes out. Look, the law comes in and it doesn't favor the tenant. At the long run, I don't think after some while people will be building houses again for rentage.
Okay, so but we're looking at the issue of rentals, not an idea where someone buys a property or buys a land and builds.
Yes.
But where I want to also come in is the fact that, yes, we know that in developed society there are federal building or federal housing estates for people, especially low-income earners, as the case may be. But where is the place of the Lagos State government indeed? Because not everyone will live in Abuja, the Federal Capital Territory. So if you live in Lagos and you are a tenant in a property in Lagos, how are you protected, especially from Lagos landlords arbitrarily increasing the rent? Is there anything the Lagos State government can do, as we have it right now, that the matter is being deliberated on at the House of Assembly? Is there anything Lagos State government can do when it comes to building low-cost housing for residents in Lagos?
Well, he said low-cost housing, that's by the state.
Yes.
I think if I go around Lagos State today, you can see some houses are being built, but we don't know the cost of those houses then. And I don't also believe that a common man, a civil servant that earns what is our minimum wage today can afford their houses. Why? Because I'm not actually going to blame the state government so much, because they also go to the same market also. The same price of cement remain the same thing. No matter how that house will be, you call it low-cost houses, no matter how low the cost may be, it's still going to be a cost implication, because you're still going to buy down with this cement or any cement you're buying for the same amount you're buying it. All this still boil down to inflation. So you not expect Lagos State to build that property and come and sell it below what they bought it or what they have spent so far. You understand? So all still boil down to the harsh economy we are running in this country. What I'm trying to take here is that I want situation, but we're looking at the both side, both the tenants, to secure the tenant aspect, and also with the landlords too.
But the issue of having a tenant,
yes,
who is moving into an apartment for the first time and asking that tenant to pay 2 years upfront, aside from the fact that you're going to pay for agency, commission, and sometimes you're also mandated to pay for caution. So how does that in a way fare on the part of the tenants? Considering the fact that not everyone are on that scale of being high income earners.
As far as I'm concerned, not Lagos State have made the law before now. It's a yearly rent. It's a yearly rent. I don't know when the landlord started collecting 2 years rent anymore. I think it has been a yearly rent for a very long time now. And the case of caution, which is very important. For example, I'm an investor. I build a house for a rent, for example, and the first tenant that comes in, and what I put on board, when I put in the house to make it, what attract him to come to the house, and while he was living here, I've destroyed them. And the cost of me buying those things all over again is going to be more than, sometimes it will be close to half of the rent of the house. So there are tenants are like that too. They will just come because they know that they are here for temporary and they will leave soon. They destroy more than what. So it's important they should put whatever law they are going to make. It's important they should put all these things in. Consider the two parties in, the landlord and the tenant. That is where I actually start from.
Okay, now talking about the law, because the State House of Assembly is actually talking about implementation and full enforcement of the tenancy law, which stipulates certain things. For instance, as a tenant coming in or will be tenant, you're not supposed to pay rents beyond 1 year. And this that you just talked about,
yes,
what the tenant should do and not do, are equally stipulated in this tenancy law. Don't you think that all these things are happening because there has not been an implementation of the law, which the State House of Assembly is talking about?
Yes.
And whose fault is that?
I think I will say it's the state fault. Why would I say that? Because if you said it have not been implemented, because I'm not too sure. But if I believe it has been implemented, that it's 1 year. But in the case that it have not been implemented, is the fault of the state. And if they should implement it now, which they are talking about, but at the same time, I also want them to consider, as you're considering the tenant, also considering the landlord too. Because my fear is that after now, if the law is not favorable to the landlord or to the tenant, it will come to a time we will run out of housing in Lagos. That most people work in Lagos will get us at far as Shagamu, and you're working at Ikeja. This is a long-time plan I'm talking about. Because if you make a harsh law, because look at Nigeria today, what is keeping us? Why are we going through what we are going through? Is these harsh laws. Please look inwardly. And I like Lagos State for one thing. I believe Lagos State is going to look inwardly to this, because look inwardly, invite the two parties involved.
You speak like a landlord. Are you a landlord?
I'm a landlord, yes.
No wonder.
I'm a landlord. I'm a landlord. So look at it for the two perspectives. Let the both party be well carried along. I'm not in support of landlord increasing rent or collecting 2-year rent. As far as I'm concerned, I believe, as of today, Lagos State law still stands at 1 year rent. And the same rent has, when it comes to quit notice, he also have about 6 months grace.
That's for yearly payments.
For yearly payment, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
You understand? So That is just that. For the truth is that the both parties have to come together and work together.
Okay, so when talking about looking inward, now let's look at the issue of asking tenants to pay an increment, especially without giving them prior notice. A landlord wakes up in the morning and gives excuse, oh, because of economic situation, the rent you're paying is no longer realistic. It's no longer sustainable for me as the owner of the property. Therefore, you are to pay X, Y amount without considering their income. Now, you see a situation where there is altercation. Because you are a Lagos landlord, you understand what I'm talking about.
Yes.
Then the landlord comes up with an issue of no government builds house for me. If you're not willing to pay the new increment, you better leave. So what's your take on this? Given the fact that you also made mention of the cost of materials,
Yes.
what do you think government can do in order to subsidize the cost of building materials so that landlord do not use that as a basis to arbitrarily increase rent for tenants?
Yes. Initially, there was an agreement, first and foremost, between the landlord and the tenant when it comes into the house. The landlord will not just wake up after 6 months or 1 year and say they want to increase his house. No. I think the law there insisted that after 3 years, the landlord is eligible to increase the rent.
Then what is the percentage if you have to increase?
Exactly. The
What is
percentage, that's what I don't know. I can't argue about that because I don't know. But I think my lawyer or the lawyers who will be in this matter will explain better. But I knew, the little I know that look, there are a time frame for all these things. You know. So you cannot just wake up and increase your rent.
According to the legislation going on in the House of Assembly,
yes,
Desmond Elliott, who is also a rep member, also made mention of the fact that there are some landlords who just wake up and increase rent to the tune of 100 or 200%. So what's your take on that? How do you justify that as a Lagos landlord?
That is barbaric. Yes, because I'll condemn it. Truth is that you cannot just wake up and just increase your rent. The law states that after 3 years, we can review.
So if after 3 years, what is the reasonable rate for the increment?
That I will advise the legislators to discuss about, because I don't think, at least 50% you should be okay. I think 50% should be okay, not 100% increment.
Okay, let's talk about houses that have been built over the years. Because from what you're talking about, you're talking about houses being built maybe this year, new houses.
Yes.
We still have houses that have been standing for 10, 20, 30. You are a Nigerian. Be honest with yourself. Is there any justification for a hike on rents on a house that has been standing for over 20 years? That house, remember, is not just built yesterday. So the issue of cost of building materials does not even arise.
That's true. Oh, on that, as a property owner too, I know a house requires maintenance after 3 years. Depends on how you maintain your buildings. All these things still boil down that, the costs. Because there's no how the
maintenance in the law.
Yes.
The tenant has to bear the cost of internal maintenance. Once the landlord bears the cost of external maintenance. So this maintenance, can we say that this maintenance is, the cost of this maintenance is enough for a hike?
I wouldn't really see on that. The cost of maintenance, the hiking don't be that much. The hiking should be that much. But truth still tells that it requires that maintenance, because I'm off track right now. You understand? I'm off track with that question. I won't lie to you. But truth still remains that it's still boiled down to the cost. Then you cannot just... I'm offline. I'm off.
All right.
You cannot just increase rents, right? Arbitrary.
I understand.
Okay, so as a landlord that you are now,
Yes,
if your house is 10 years old or 20 years old, like if you want to increase, like what percentage? Let's say you are receiving 200,000 per annum. So if you want to make an increase, like how much will you increase?
Oh, if we should go by law, sincerely speaking, from the day the house was built, the day you started making tenancy arrangements, there have been time frame that you have been increasing all this while. Let's assume a house that we built 20 years ago. And I also know that house that we built 20 years ago, as I'm concerned, as far as you're in Lagos, that house is decaying gradually if you're not maintaining it all the time. So now, whenever you go to the market to buy any new materials, you're going to meet that price of the current price. But houses were built like 20 years ago, cement will sell at the rate of 1,000. But today it's about 10,000 or beyond. So also let's consider the landlord also too. But the hike is where we are actually discussing about. At least it should be more than, let's say, 20 to 30%. I don't know, like the best of us put it together and fashion it out, you understand? So that's the best I can say about that.
Now, let's look at the issue of housing deficit in Lagos. As we speak today, we have about 3 million unit houses deficit, which means that there is a likelihood, just as you said earlier, that people might be moving far away from Lagos because they are unable to afford a decent house.
That's true.
Now, what do you think Lagos State government can do to be able to create an enabling environment where people can live and work in Lagos without having to travel long distances? And of course, considering the fact that we have seen cases where housing units are being built, rather than it meant for those who are low-income earners, the middleman comes in and takes this house and then decide to give it out to those who are supposedly the highest bidder. So what do you think about that?
I think we should make law that will be flexible for us, because we all know the way we run these countries. They are our leaders run these countries with us. You know. The same come. First of all, you said you refer back to my questions. You know that to come to the time people will be running as far as Shagamu to get houses to rent. It's true. Lagos State should build more low-income houses and make it affordable for me and you, a common man, to also live in these houses there. Because most of those houses, I don't think any common man have access to those houses then. If we are to work on based on our minimum wage that we are running on this time and season, we should look at it in well. No house Lagos State built today that somebody, a mere man can go and stay.
Yeah, they call it low income.
And it's not really low. But I will also blame the state also, because they are also going to the same market. They are also going to the same market. Those houses, no matter how low you think they are not low as 10 million naira. No, they are not low as 10 million naira. The truth is the truth. They are not low. Look at your studio right now. If you have to create this studio, when you created this studio, let's assume you created maybe 5 million naira as the case may be. But if you have to do this studio today, it's about 15 to 20 million naira, because things have really changed in the market.
But so obviously, people who are coming into those houses to occupy it are not just going to pay instantly. The money will be coming on a mortgage system. Perhaps
that's true.
The payment will be spread over a period of time until they get ownership of the house.
That's
so
true.
Why do you think it's not possible to be able to realize it? Some countries, without mentioning names, have been able to, achieve about 40,000 units of houses across the country. So why is it not possible here, given the fact that you are saying because of the cost of building materials? Are they also not incurring the cost of building materials abroad?
Yeah, I swear their systems works better here. There. Our systems, Nigeria should be telling ourselves the truth. We should look inwardly, all of us. If we want to do this thing right, we can actually do it right.
All right, so as we coast home, now what my question will be centered on, how possible will this implementation be, especially looking at it from the government angle and the compliance from Lagos landlord, if this comes into fusion?
Well, I will let this one be like a take home, because I want to appeal to those who will be sitting on this matter to look at it very critically. But it's a critical issue. There's a kind of policies you're going to bring that will be so harsh to the landlord, it will become a problem. There's also a policy you're going to bring that will be so harsh to the tenant, it's equally going to be a problem. So we should make it a very palatable one.
So what you mean is that when it's harsh on the landlord, definitely it will be harsh on the tenant.
That's the truth. We are humans. We are humans. Pinch your skins, you understand what I'm talking about. Well, when he pinches you, you feel the pain. And if I keep feeling the pain that, okay, after all my hustle and bustle, I've invested in this and the state is not letting me get what I'm supposed to get, I don't be encouraged to do that. I will not be encouraged to do more. And if we get to that stage, that means we'll be having low houses. We'll not be having houses for tenants anymore. Just to bring me back to my first word that, look, so as far as I'm concerned, if we don't be careful about this, people will find houses so difficult to stay in Lagos.
I would like to, some persons have actually blamed this outrageous hike in rent
of course, I'm not supporting
on agents.
Yes.
agents.
Yes.
Some Nigerians, most Nigerians have blamed it on agents. That mostly it's not even the landlord. Like I saw something on social media where somebody said he was paying 1.3 million naira to the agent, not knowing that the actual rent was 500,000 naira.
Yep.
So what is your take on the activities of agents when it comes to rentage?
They need to regulate them. They need to be regulated. Because most agents going around today call themselves an estate agent or property agent, whatever they call themselves. I believe most of them are not really they are not registered and they are not really recognized. Because there's no job in the country, anybody can pick up any job as far as it's giving him daily incomes. It's okay by that. Most of the agents check very well. Most of them are not really registered. They should create a union for them, an association for them that will regulate them, that will guide them proper. You cannot just wake up today and say you're an agent. Because your brother built a house, you don't have anything you are doing right now, automatically you are not the caretaker, you are not the agent of the house. So you can do whatever you want to do because the law is in your hand. So they should, the government should look at it, the government should regulate them, put them together in a standpoint and give them a guideline how to do their job better. Because what's the cost of the, if the landlord comes, if I was some landlord I am, and somebody brought the tenant and said this person is willing to pay 5 million naira for what I know that is almost 1 million naira. If I'm a greedy person, I would say, go ahead, let's go. Because I believe it's a return of investment. It's coming big. So, but when they regulate it proper, at least everybody know their stance. The landlord knows his stand, the tenant knows his stance. Everybody go home happily.
So while we wait for that regulation,
Yes.
so as to make the practice of agents in the real estate business more professional,
Yeah.
what do you do presently as a landlord, especially knowing the fact that you have a property that is in the care of agents? Because agents sometimes take advantage of tenants who are very much desperate in need of accommodation. So what do you do in that case?
You see, I think, I don't know, I will only speak of myself. I can't speak for other people because, you see, the arrangement is the arrangement between you and your agent, you understand? To be sincere, we should be truthful to ourselves. The landlord, if you know that your agent is overdoing this.
How do you know that?
Okay, how do you know? Because I don't believe an agent is supposed to be lying to me. Agent is like more or less like your doctor. We're not supposed to lie to each other. You're supposed to carry me along whatever you are doing. Anything you do aside my own arrangement, automatically you're just doing that for yourself.
So what measures do you put in place to checkmate it?
I think the landlord should work closely with their agents. You know, if you have an agent manager that is managing your property, tell them the law. That's where the law need to come in. Tell them the law. The law does not give you the strength to do this. Tell them the law. This is where your boundaries reach. You can't cross beyond this. So when there's law like that that guide everybody will do the right thing.
All right, thank you so much, Comrade Loke Ponsa, Social Affairs Analyst, for giving us your take on this matter. I really appreciate it.
Really.
All right, that's our offering for you this morning from our Lagos Network studios. We'll be taking you over now to Benin Network for the rest of the program.